Hey guys, so I know that all of you want to move well, be pain-free, and have a nice, strong, healthy back. And today I'm going to talk about one of the ways to improve the health of your back, and that is actually the deadlift. And the deadlift gets a bad rap because of how people do it in the gym. They often end up making their backs worse instead of better. So today in this video, I'm going to talk about how to do a proper deadlift and some of the basics and some of the common mistakes. So the deadlift is essentially learning how to pick something up from the ground, right? And there's a lot of different ways to do that depending on what the object looks like, how heavy it is, and how far close to the ground the object is and how far away from you it is. With deadlifting, we're talking about objects that are not all the way on the ground. So it's not quite like picking up a golf ball where we're going to use a different strategy. So with the deadlift, you want to hip hinge down like this and grab the object, right? Now, what's so great about doing that for our lower backs? So our lower backs get into trouble when we start to bend them. So if I were to come down and pick up an object like this, I'm putting my back at risk right there because the load is too heavy for my spine to be in this position. So when I do a proper hip hinge down toward the ground and I bend at the hips, can you see how my back is nice and flat and I'm taking it in the hips and I'm loading my hamstrings and my glutes here so that when I lift up the object, my spine never goes into flexion. It's a nice flat back the whole time, and my back muscles are really stabilizing my spine here and keeping it safe from any unwanted load. The first is that they're not doing an actual hip hinge. And here's what I mean by that. So a hip hinge, when I come down, my shins should be perpendicular to the ground, and my hips should be back. The knees are also bent slightly. So when a lot of people go into a hip hinge, what they do is something more of a squat. So this is what most people look like. You can see here that my knees are going forward, so I no longer have a vertical shin angle. And when I lift up the bag, it's not a hip hinge. And I'm actually taking a lot more load in my spine.